Himalaya.
You're listening to the Girl with Self-Esteem Issues, a Himalaya learning podcast. To access my Own Your Shit handbook filled with key insights and exercises, and to join the community where you can talk directly with me, go to Himalaya.com/Rosie and enter promo code Rosie at checkout for 14 days, absolutely free. I hope to see you there. I'm Rosie Mercado, and this is the Girl with Self-Esteem Issues, a podcast where we celebrate self-love and meeting your full potential. Our guest today is a transformational teacher who made it his mission to help others love themselves. Welcome to the podcast, Kute Blackson. How are you?
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited
to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here. Like, it's been a while, but I was just telling you that I was so excited. I first met you at a conference that we did together with Panesh Desai, and I remember you went on stage, and I just remember hearing how passionate you were when speaking, and that what for me was like a transformational moment, because I think we take for granted words, and I think we take for granted the emotions that are tied into the words, and really when you pour your spirit and your soul into them, how much it could touch your spirit. So yeah. I'm never going to forget that moment. But we're going to start today with an inspirational quote by you. And I really love this. Yes. Today you are the quote. You're bringing the inspiration all the way around. When you tap into the power of acceptance, it allows you to say, maybe what I thought was best isn't the best. Maybe there's something greater about to happen.
Sounds like a wise quote. Where did you find that?
Tell me a little bit. What was the inspiration? Like, how did you get to that point of understanding? Like, maybe there's something greater, because I feel like we fall, and sometimes we're like, that's it. It's over. We're done. There's nothing. Like, that's it. My life is over.
I think many times we think we know what's going to happen, or we go into a situation, or we go into a relationship, and we already have this preconceived idea, okay, this is this way, it's going to be this, it's not this, and we get so closed. And many times what we think happens doesn't happen. And I think we end up trying to, sometimes out of fear or conditioning, we end up trying to control so many things about our lives. And it's got to be this way, it's got to be this way, it's got to be this way. And I think so often when we try to control, we end up limiting the universe, we end up limiting life. And so I think the best things happen happen for me when I wasn't even expecting, when I just showed up with an open heart, when I didn't even have an agenda. And, meeting your soulmate, meeting the best friend, meeting, the best things you can't even plan. And so I think when we plan with our mind, we kind of we limit ourselves to the conditioning of the mind, which is based on our past experiences and our childhood and what we know and everything we've done. And so, yes, we might have a great life, we might have an amazing life, but I think when we really remain open, then we make ourselves available to the infinite possibilities of life, the infinite possibilities of the universe. And so I found out that sometimes when things don't happen according to plan, or things don't go according to what I want, it's sometimes grace, it's a blessing from the universe. And many of the things that I thought I wanted at a particular moment, I look back now from this perspective and I go, thank God that relationship didn't work out. Thank God that situation didn't work out. I mean, I really wanted a TV show many, many, many years back. And I think, thank God that didn't happen. I wasn't ready. The person wasn't, all these things weren't right. And so I really feel like life itself, which has been around, billions of years, you and I, we've been around 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, however many years we are as human beings. Okay, the oldest human being, 110 years, but life has been around 13, 14 billion years. Before us. There is an intelligence. We cut our finger. You cut your finger. You don't have to be a good person. You don't have to meditate. You don't have to pray. You don't have to help people. You just cut your finger. You keep it clean. There is an intelligence inside of our body that knows how to heal itself if we just create the environment and keep it clean. So I think we've lost touch in our effort to control our lives so much. I think we've lost touch with sort of with the flow, and we've lost touch to sort of being in harmony with nature, forgetting that we are a part of nature and working with this innate intelligence. And so that's kind of what inspired the quote.
Cool. What do you think? You're touching on so many amazing points. And I think now more than ever, if you thought you were in control, everything happens. The pandemic happens, throws us one, stops everything, changes our life, our perspective, our vision, changes our plans, just like that. What do you think is important to start to surrender, to start to to open up to the universe and the possibilities that it has, and not be anxious about it?
I think we have to, one of the pandemic, I would say, was obviously You know, we all had great plans for 2020. We're going to do this. We're going to achieve that. Oh my God, January, February, totally unexpected. 2020 didn't quite go
and that's
according
life.
to, you know, it's life. It's just how it always is. Uncertainty is a part of life. You know, the change is a part of life. This is just the fluctuation of life. So I think the more we can embrace that, the more we can accept that, the more free we will be. But I also feel as though this pandemic, this year, is giving us the opportunities, the universe giving us the opportunity for a moment to take a step back, to reflect, to be still, so we can resist it and fight it, which keeps us stuck doing the same thing and probably, you know, it's going to take us in a direction of suffering. But I think if we can use this time to say, okay, universe is giving me a moment to step back, to reflect. Let me use this time to really go within myself, to meditate, to journal, to connect with myself and ask myself. Because I think for so long, many of us, we were just being busy and running around and just doing. And sometimes if you ask people, where are you going? I don't know. I don't know where I'm going. I'm just going. Well, what are you running from? I don't even know what I'm running from, because we got so caught up in just being busy for the sake of being busy. And so I think we have to take some moment to take a step back to reevaluate, who am I really? Because sometimes, even if you're busy being successful at being busy, just because you're successful, we can get caught in what I call a trap of success, doing what works because it works and because you're good at it. But that doesn't mean you're growing happy and evolving. That doesn't mean you're happy. That doesn't mean you're evolving as a soul. That doesn't mean you're living in alignment with your purpose. You're just doing what works because it works and you're good at it and it makes money, which is fine, but it doesn't mean you're truly alive. And so I think this is giving us the opportunity to really reconnect with, like, who am I really? What is my purpose really? What am I really on this planet to do? What's really truly important to me? Which sometimes I think we can lose touch with in the sort of high tech world that we live in. And so that's the first thing I would say. The other thing I think we get to do during this time is, I always say, look, the next level of our lives. And I think this year, even though it's challenging, we will look back on this year, if we go through this process that is giving us an opportunity to what I call reset ourselves. We are given the opportunity to actually have a reset. And so the next level of our lives requires the next level of ourselves. You know, the next level of our vision requires we be the next level. So you can't go to the next level being an old version of yourself. And so the universe is actually, you have to prepare. And that means letting go of the things that really are no longer aligned. Maybe there's relationships that are no longer aligned. Maybe there's belief systems you're holding. Maybe there's anger, shame, fear, guilt, pain, resentment that you're holding towards people from the past, an ex, you know, your parents, stuff from your childhood that is giving us the opportunity to say, look, to truly rise to the next level of greatness, we have to let go. And so I think many times we're afraid to let go because we know ourselves to be a certain way. We're afraid to let go because we have a certain identity about this is who I am. We're afraid to let go because we've built something and it works, but it's no longer in alignment with our purpose. And so the fear of letting go is one thing. And so I think we have to be willing to let go of what's no longer working by being really honest with ourselves about how we truly feel in our hearts. And one of the things that keeps us stuck as human beings are all the ways that we lie to ourselves. In so many ways, we are lying to ourselves. No, I'm in this relationship. It's cool. When deep down we know, like, it was over 5 years ago, or we're working a job that we're like, well, this is okay, and I'm grateful. And sometimes we even use gratitude as an excuse to be really honest. So I think where we can start is it takes courage, the courage to be really honest, to tell the truth. Ask yourself these two questions. Number one, what lies am I telling myself? What lies am I telling myself? We sometimes play a game, Rosie, of like, I don't know, I'm not sure, I'm confused, when deep down, we really do know.
The confusion comes because the fear and the reality are there, but you're afraid to make that decision. You are so afraid.
The confusion is a smoke screen, because if I stay confused, I don't know whether I should stay in this relationship or leave. I don't know what I should do. I don't know what my purpose is. Then I don't actually have to do anything because I'm confused. And there's a part of us that always knows when you end that relationship after 2 years of confusion, we often tell our friends, I knew it wasn't going to work. We knew deep down. So I think we have to be willing to tell the truth to ourselves, ask ourselves, what am I pretending to not know? And really be honest about that, and really have the courage to acknowledge what the consequence of not being true to ourselves is. There is a consequence, and that consequence is often painful. But the challenge is we feel the pain as human beings, but because we're afraid of the consequence, we don't want to feel the pain. And so
we avoid it.
We avoid the pain. We avoid the pain of not living our truth. We avoid the pain of not living what we're really here to do. We avoid the pain of like continuing down that road of addiction. We avoid the pain of continuing in that job that we hate or that relationship that is not aligned. We avoid the pain. So what I'm actually inviting, and I think one of the profound things of 2020, where we're being quarantined and locked down and what have you, we can't go anywhere. We can't.
You're forced to look at yourself.
The universe has kind of done a chess move and said, checkmate, you have to sit at home. You have to stay at home. You can't distract yourself with parties. You can't distract yourself with gatherings. You can't distract yourself with friends. You can't distract yourself with shopping, with sex, with vacations. You have to sit down and listen to your soul and deal with the truth in your heart. And it's uncomfortable and it's challenging, but to truly transform ourselves as human beings, we have to be willing to bring all the things that we have suppressed in the sort of deep part of our shadow, our unconscious, and bring that to the surface. This is a process of purification that we are in as a planet. All the stuff is coming to the surface. As human beings, as we are being forced to sort of sit with ourselves, the universe has said, go sit in the corner, be with yourselves. It is not a punishment. To me, this is an invitation for us to awaken, an invitation for us to grow, an invitation for us to evolve. So we have to be willing to feel the pain of what it's costing us. And what we often do is we distract ourselves, and the distracting of ourselves keeps us perpetuating and cycling, doing the same thing over and over and again. Feel the pain and then make a decision and start taking steps towards that. So this is an opportunity to, I think, if we're courageous enough to make that shift. And many of us know the shifts we need to make. We just haven't had the courage to do it until now. And now we have the chance.
Cool. You talk about making the shift, making these decisions. You're so passionate about it. Was there a moment in your life that you're like, I was there. If you're going through this, I understand the confusion. I understand the fear of pain. I understand the fear of the unknown, or making that decision into moving into something. You're like, all right, I know this. Like for me, this is security. It might be painful. I know this. I don't know what's on the other side. Were you ever in that place and just had that moment of breakthrough? You're like, all right, I'm done. Like it can't get any more worse than this. Like this is it.
There've been many moments in my life over the last years where I've wanted to give up. You know, I've just felt like giving up. It was too hard. I remember, in my early 20s, I wanted to be the next Oprah and do a TV show. And I was pitching all these people, like hundreds of people, you name them, I pitched them, and I was rejected and I was laughed out, and I was literally laughed and ridiculed out of offices, and just wanted to give up, and got depressed. And finally, these huge managers, the guys that managed Michael Jackson and Mariah Carey and Leonardo DiCaprio and on and on and on, they were like, we're going to make you a star. We're going to take you into Fox. Let's do the show. Boom. They gave me the contract to sign. I went into meditation. I said, give me a day to meditate on it. They're like, meditate on it. I'm like, it needs to be aligned for me. And I got no. I got a no. I got an absolute no.
You got a no?
After years of pitching. I mean, I pitched Spielberg. I pitched David Geffen. I pitched Fox. I pitched Dick Clark. I mean, the list goes on and on. And these managers are like, we see it, we're going to make you huge. And this is everything I ever wanted. And my soul said no. And I got depressed.
I have to ask you. Okay, so you go into this meditation. So how can we learn to pay attention to that yes and to that no? Like you said, simple. Like you wanted it, but you got a no.
I wanted it.
How did you know it was a no?
There was a resonance, and people think it's going to be like maybe sometimes for some people it will be like a loud voice, like, no, this is your universe speaking. Sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes it's just a subtle feeling in your gut that feels like something feels a little off here. Something, and it's not even a whisper. It's just it's like the wind. It's so subtle. And what we tend to do is we don't pay attention to that. For me, because I had not paid attention to that feeling for so long, and each time I didn't pay attention to it, just through sheer stubbornness and experience, right? I realized, this is that same feeling that I get when I'm guided to not do something. And whenever I go against this feeling, it only results in pain. Relationships that I went into when I first met a woman that said, stay away from her. And I went right into the relationship. That same feeling. And I'm like, I'm feeling that same feeling in my gut.
Listen. It's time to listen. And
all lessons are repeated until learned.
Until they're learned.
All
absolutely. Amen to that. So when we get in tune with that, how important is it to understand that that's a form of loving yourself as well? Being in tune with your spirit, like that's a form of self-love. How do we learn to love ourselves?
I think we learn to love ourselves by really taking a moment to connect with ourselves, by taking a moment to truly bring compassion and acceptance to all those parts of ourselves that we actually find unlovable, all those parts of ourselves that we judge, all those parts of ourselves that are hurting inside. Many times we like, oh, I love this about me and I love that about me, but I hate this about me and I hate this about me and I hate that about me. Those parts of ourselves that we judge, those parts of ourselves that are in pain, those parts of ourselves that we think are ugly, those parts of ourselves that are insecure, those are the parts that really need the most love. And true healing happens when we're willing to apply loving compassion to those parts of ourselves just by taking a moment to connect. And sometimes we realize that, even when we act out in certain ways that we don't like, oh, I hate this about me, underlying every behavior is usually a positive intention. So even those parts of ourselves that were being negative or doing that addiction or weren't nice or like, I hate the fact I procrastinate, how can I love that? Underlying that behavior, usually there's something that part of ourselves is seeking to protect ourselves from, that at the deepest level was positive. Maybe
Really?
by procrastinating, like you might say, could I hate this part of me? I want to get rid of it. No, that just reinforces the pattern and creates an unconscious internal resistance even more, because now you are judging and fighting a part of yourself that actually needs more love. What we end up doing is we end up beating ourselves up to try and transform. And then that part that we judge, what we judge, gets reinforced and gets stronger. So let's say you're procrastinating. You're like, I hate this part of me. I would say, stop hating it. Realize that underlying that procrastinating part of you, it's seeking a positive intention. What could that be? Maybe it's trying to prevent you from getting rejected. Okay, by keeping you safe from getting rejected, what does that give you a sense of? It gives me a sense of safety. Okay, by feeling safe, what does that give you a sense of? A sense of peace. So at the deepest level, what it's trying to get you is peace. But the way the way we've learned to go about getting a sense of peace, the method is a little off, but the intention is beautiful, which is peace. But the way we've learned is we've developed all of these survival mechanisms from childhood, to function and survive. Look, as children, we're born these free beings. You look at the child jumps on the table and laughs.
Happy,
And
loving.
did I see a picture of you? You had a kid recently?
Yes, I have a baby,
So
yes,
yes, there you
yes.
go. So I was on your Instagram like, oh, she has a baby. Congratulations. So you look at a child is in touch with the divine. They're shining. The light is bright. They'll jump on the table. They'll love. They don't care if they can't sing like, Celine Dion or Bruno Mars, or they don't care if they're naked and, oh, my little fat. They're just totally free. What happens is we're born into the world. We meet our parents. Our parents are just doing the best that they can do based on their childhood and their upbringing. Yeah. And so two things happen. This is how we start losing touch. We're born into an environment where maybe there's pain, there's trauma, there's divorce, there's hurt, there's guilt. Maybe we're just neglected. And so the first thing is we start shutting down parts of ourselves in order to not feel the pain of our environment, because it was too painful when dad was screaming. It was too painful when mom wasn't around. It was too painful to deal with the addiction. So we start shutting parts of ourselves down to not feel the pain inside. And the other thing is we start developing all sorts of a sense of roles, masks, and personas, the sense of who do I need to be in order to be loved. But personally, growing up in my father's church, my father was a preacher. I grew up with the sense of like, I need to be perfect. I need to be the responsible one. I need to be the good boy. This was a role, a defense mechanism. These are survival mechanisms that we create to function, survive, get love, and be approved. But underlying all of them, they're trying to get us something positive. So if we can realize that, it can move us into a relationship of compassion. Then we can say not love the behavior, but love the drive and the motivation. And that shifts our relationship to that part, and we can bring loving to ourselves.
So what's one thing that someone that's listening right now can start doing to love themselves? Just one simple thing that automatically, as soon as they listen to this podcast, they could just sit there and like, all right, I'm going to take action right now.
Find one part of yourself that you don't like, that you judge harshly, that you don't love. take a moment, place your hand on your heart, visualize this part. Now ask this part, just kind of in your mind, ask this part, what is your positive intention? And really listen, like, what is it that you're trying to get from me that's positive? And go down to the deepest level, keep you safe. By keeping me safe, what are you trying to get from me? I'm trying to just have you be peaceful. Thank you. And then thank that part. So kind of have a communication to that part of yourself, thank that part. And as you really get to the positive intention, that opens up a sense of compassion, and then just breathe in loving and acceptance and just an embrace for that part of you by saying, thank you for wanting me to be safe. And that moves us into a relationship of let's say, compassion with ourselves.
You said, say thank you. How important is gratitude today more than ever?
Everything. Gratitude is everything. To me, abundance is not about simply what you have, money, bank account, cars, homes. I mean, all of that's great. I think we should all have abundance, but I think you can have everything in the world, but if you're not grateful for what you have, you're still poor. No matter how much you have, you can be poor inside. And I think gratitude is when you are truly in touch with the beauty of yourself, the beauty of the moment. Gratitude is a spirit of thanks. And I think it's, especially now, is everything. It's to really focus your energy on what you do have. To focus your energy on what you do have. I think that is true abundance, a state of being in relationship with look, if you look at the world, even if you don't have very much, in every moment, when I look out at the universe, the sun is shining for me every day. Every day the sun shines. The sun never says, well, today I've been giving to you for the last 30, 40 years of your life, and you've never say thank you to me. And so I'm not going to shine that much on you today. I'm only going to shine on Rosie. Every day the sun just shines.
Shines. For everyone,
shines.
yes.
For everyone.
For everyone.
I'm like, we are being loved by life. The sun is shining. The air, the trees are giving us oxygen to breathe. The floor is holding us up. The meal that we ate, there is love and intention from the truck driver and the chef and the person in, the grocery. All of these people have come together in every single moment to bless us. Life is loving us each moment. We just often are focused on what we don't have rather than what we do have. And I think the more we give thanks, the more our energy rises, the more we will attract to us beautiful experiences to be thankful about. So I always say, it's not just what you think about that makes a difference. People say, oh, what you think about, Think and Grow Rich. I say, give thanks. It's what you think about that comes about, not just what you think about.
Wow. What about if someone finds themselves in a moment of real darkness? What is one thing that they could start doing to get out of the darkness, get out of the problem, to refocus on something else, to let go of the anxiety, to create that shift, that first step? What's the first step someone should do when you find yourself in a really bad place?
In a really bad place, it's challenging. I think we've all been in those places. One thing I would say, even before they actually take action, is I believe every experience in our lives happens for a reason. Absolutely. Even if it's challenging. So even our darkest moments are teaching us something. There's something even in that most challenging place that our soul is seeking to learn. So the first thing I would say, before you just run away from it, don't be afraid of the darkness. Don't wallow in the darkness, but don't be afraid of the darkness, because I believe that some of our greatest transformation and some of our greatest healing happens in the darkness. Your child was inside of your womb in the darkness of the cocoon for 9 months, and that was part of the birthing process. So sometimes the darkness and being willing to stay in the darkness, not judge ourselves, not judge the process, not judge the universe, but be in that process with ourselves, because we're often so afraid of being with ourselves. And sometimes that's what we need, so we can hear God's intuition. We can hear our soul's intuition. We can hear what we're being guided to do. So I think we should embrace the darkness and ask ourselves, what is my soul seeking to learn in this moment of my life right now? What are the lessons I'm needing to learn? What am I needing to release? What am I needing to embrace about myself, so that we can really grow and evolve? Many times we want to get to the next level of our life, but we haven't quite learned, we haven't learned the lesson that we need to learn where we are. So we're not going to the next level, or we haven't become the people we need to become truly yet to manifest the next level. And so we're stuck. And because we're stuck and we hit against the wall, we're in the darkness. So I say, use that darkness as a moment to be still and go inside, and then take action. Then ask yourself, okay, what's in my control? Many times we stay stuck in the darkness and feel helpless because we're focusing on everything we can't control. I can't control the world. I can't control the government. I can't control the pandemic. Oh my God, I feel helpless. And we spiral into a deeper depression or darkness.
Yeah.
So I say, focus on, okay, what's in my power to control? What can I control? What can I do? Maybe I can exercise. Maybe I can eat healthily. Maybe I can take a walk in nature. I would say take a walk in nature. Sometimes we spiral into darkness too because sometimes we're just so focused on ourselves and my pain and my problem, and we forget the perspective that there's probably millions of other people that are also going through what we're going through in that particular moment as well. So even in our darkness, we are not alone. We've just fixated on ourselves. So remember, even in your darkness, you're not alone. There's millions of people that are also going through it in this human experience. Connect with them, let them inspire you, but also take the focus off of yourself. And I would say, ask yourself, how can you be of service in a small way? Even if in a small way, because when you're in the darkness, we turn inside. When you open yourself to be of service, you start turning outside, and something starts opening in you to the light when you open your heart to give and love. Last thing I would say is many times we go into the darkness or we stay stuck in the darkness because we've been suppressing so many emotions from the past that we haven't dealt with, breakups, situations with our parents and what have you. And those stuffed emotions over time have built up so much that it's covering up. The darkness is just telling us we have covered up the light of our souls. Even in the midst of the darkness, there is a light in our souls that perhaps it just covered up with the sort of suppressed emotion. So use that time. Don't just distract yourself. Use that time to be willing to courageously feel your feelings. Feel the feelings you haven't felt. We're often afraid to feel the feelings because we're afraid we're going to die. It's going to overwhelm us. All feelings are felt. All feelings remain present till fully felt. And when we feel our feelings in a healthy way, in a conscious way, then we find that they dissolve. They don't last forever unless we suppress them. So sometimes darkness is just a signal that we have suppressed our feelings.
And we need to release.
And we need to release them. So cry your tears out. Feel the heartbreak that you haven't felt. Scream it out, shout it out, be in nature, go to the ocean, but get those feelings out. And you will find that the darkness starts to fade and the light that was always there will shine through again.
I like what you said about opening up and being of service in some of your darkest moments, how that opens you up. How did you find that out to be a truth? When you're of service in your deepest pain, you go and help someone else out. It opens you breathe. I feel like and that's something that I do automatically when I am having a really bad day, a really dark moment. I've learned to, all right, it hurts. I'm in deep pain. Who can I help? Automatically, I know that I'm going through something because there's this yearning, this need to be able to help someone else out. And I feel like it's a way of releasing for me. And as I see what someone else is going through, it brings me back to say, wow, life is not that bad. I need to be more grateful for the things that I do have and stop looking at scarcity and problems and start focusing on what I do have in my life and be grateful, because gratitude attracts more and fear pushes away.
Yeah, we need to shift our focus. Often when we're turned inside on ourselves, me, my, we're focused inside. We're just looking, at the darkness, nothing shifts. But when we focus outside, we open to the light and we shift the focus just off of ourselves into a space of service and contribution. I think that's the beauty. Many years ago, I must have been in my early 20s. I went to India for the first time, and I was in a place of darkness. This was just when, I turned down this TV show. I was depressed. I was mad at God. I was frustrated. I was confused. I didn't know what my purpose was. I broke up with my girlfriend. All of my life was collapsing and falling apart. And I said to the universe, what do you want from me? I feel like I'm following my path and nothing is working out. And I gave up. I said, I give up. I'm not coming back to America until I get some answers. I want to find the keys to happiness because I've tried everything and nothing in my life seems to be working. I've tried everything. And so I felt like I reached the edge of my own ego's capacity to control my life, So I went to India, and cut a long story short, I went north north and south and east and west in a quest for happiness. I met monks and teachers and enlightened masters and what have you. I was becoming more miserable on the journey than before. It was hot. I was sick. I was tired. I almost died in a car accident. I almost died in the Himalayas. I'm like, this happiness thing is not worth it. But one time I went to where the Buddha got enlightened, a place called Bodh Gaya, where he got enlightened under the Bodhi tree. And I'm not Buddhist, but I thought if there's any place to get enlightenment or happiness, this might be the place. Yeah. After 10 days, I found no one. It's 120 degrees outside. I collapsed in front of the temple. About to give up. I'm exhausted. And I see 10 beggars lined up outside. And I think, wow, nothing. This was not a big deal because in India, you often see beggars and it's just like a dime a dozen. But this day caught my attention. One particular beggar was sitting on the floor out of the 10 and he was singing. Rosie, he was singing some sort of, I don't know, Indian chant to the divine. I mean, he was singing and full on, full heart, full body, singing his heart out. And I was so moved, when someone's singing and it's like, I was so my body was vibrant. I could feel.
You could feel the energy.
He wasn't that great, but he was, but his passion, his energy. And I was like, wow, that caught my attention. But when I looked closer, number one, I saw him sitting down. Number two, he was blind. That was the second thing. He couldn't see what was happening. He couldn't see if anyone was giving him money. And I started to think all of the things I do in my life to get money. He couldn't see if anyone was even appreciating his singing. And I started to think about myself, all of the things I do in my life to get validation. Look at me, please look at me, say thank you to me. And I realized, no wonder I'm so freaking miserable because I'm doing things for money. I'm doing things so that people can see me and love me and validate me. And I'm not free. And here he is, he can't even see. And there he's singing. Then I look more closely and he's beating these drums with stumps of arms that were stumps. And he's beating the drums. And I'm like, the guy can't even go to the restroom by himself. And there he is singing, no eyes, no arms. And the reason he is sitting down on the floor is because he has no legs. He's crippled as well in his legs. And I'm crying, feeling almost embarrassed for why the hell I'm in my darkness when this guy has every reason to be mad, to be sad, to feel like a victim.
And he's not.
This guy has I'll give him a pass. I'm like, yes, you can feel like a victim. I understand. And so I asked about this guy and the people in the village said, yes, sometimes in India, not everywhere, but sometimes in India, parents sometimes intentionally deform their children, in his case, so that the kids can stand more of a chance to make money by begging. Now I am crying, I'm just tearing up. And I went up to this guy. I went up to the homeless, to this man who was homeless with a translator. And I knelt down and I sat with him. And obviously he can't look at me, but I felt like he was looking straight into my soul. And when he looked straight into my soul, I said to him, how is it that you come here every day and you sing? And because I realized he was here every day, but I didn't recognize him. How is it that you come here every day and you sing and you sing and you sing full of light, full of light, full of light? How is it? My friend doesn't call me back and I'm already pissed off. I'm already mad. I'm like, screw you. And here you are every day.
Taking things personally.
Every day. And he looked at me and he gave me the answer. And he said, I had my notebook ready. I thought it was going to be some profound thing, but it changed my life. He said, the translation was, what else is there to do? I was like, what else is there to do? What else? This was what he said. What else is there to do? And I thought, damn. Then he kept playing the drums. Then he turned back to me. He said, one last thing. Wow. Life might give you everything you want sometimes. Life may not give you what you want sometimes, but you can always give life who you are.
Wow.
And this is why I sing. And I realized in that moment, he was the richest man in the world.
Wow. What if we took that approach in life? Would life not be different? Yeah. Kute, thank you so much for sharing all of your stories. What I like to do right now is I call this Rosie's Takeaways, where we talk about a moment of adversity in your life. You've talked about some of them, and that's a powerful experience, but a moment of adversity that you'll never forget that completely changed you, moved you forward, and you said, this is a personal life lesson. I need to grow from that. And that one was a powerful one. That one was a powerful one. Do you have anything, other to share?
Another one, I think that I was debating which one, but another one is when, my father was a healer and a minister called he was like a miracle worker. And so he had 300 churches in Ghana, West Africa. one church in London. And I was supposed to take over my father's churches. And I was ordained as a minister, supposed to take over his churches, but I knew that was not my path. I knew that was not my truth. And so when I was 17, I finally had to honor my truth and realize this is not my path. This is not my destiny. I realized that my entire life was set out for me. I looked into my future, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. And I realized I could follow the expected path for me, but if I don't have myself, what do I have? And so I realized there's no shortage of people in life that will tell you who you should be and how you should live and the life that you should live. No shortage of it, whether it's your parents, whether it's society, whether it's the government, whoever
There's always
it is.
someone there. Yeah, there's always someone there.
We have to find our own truth and have the courage to live it. And it takes courage to be who you really are. And what I realize is you can't be truly happy living someone else's version for your life, even if it's a good life. You can't be truly happy and fulfilled being someone that you're not. So this is the decision I took, and I had the conversation with my father, which at 17 years old was like a death. I was afraid that we wouldn't speak again. I told my father, I'm not taking over your churches, but I love you. Cut a long story short, we didn't speak for 2 years. Cut an even longer story short, now he's one of the absolute loves of my life. And so life is short. What I realize is life is short, and we have to be willing to follow the truth that we're guided to. And I think when we truly follow our hearts and truly follow the truth of what we're guided to, life supports us, nature supports us, the universe supports us, God supports us, and we are guided on the right path. I ended up winning a green card in the lottery. 6 months later, came to the US with 2 suitcases, $1,000, knew no one, and my journey began.
Wow. Well said. Well said. Thank you so much for sharing so many lessons, a powerful story, and for being so passionate and inspiring us. Where can people find more inspiration?
I'd say 2 ways. I'm always on Instagram and Facebook. You can go to my website, kuteblackson.com. My other website, which is a 12-day event I do, boundlessblissbali.com, to find out more about transformation, and just send me a message.
Kute, thank you so much. God bless you, and keep inspiring people around the world. You're on a mission.
Big hugs.
Thank you so much for listening to The Girl with Self-Esteem Issues. This was amazing, and I hope your life is transformed. A dream, a vision, a goal, a desire. These are all the things most of us know we need when we are working towards success, but we have somewhere along the line forgotten why it is so important we follow through with them. There will always be people who don't support you, who don't believe in you, and who will criticize you, but don't give up. Here are some reasons why it's so important to follow your dreams and your purpose. For one, chasing your dreams and purpose will develop your courage. Courage is your fuel to achieve amazing success in life. Follow your dreams and exercise courage, and sure enough, you will be unstoppable. And as you heard today, the secret of living is giving. If you follow your dreams, then you will have something worth sharing with others, hope, inspiration, and a meaning to live. And that to me is a great contribution. When you have a dream, you become an interesting person. You show others you have meaning, direction, and purpose. So go fiercely after what you believe in and never, ever, ever give up. Through consistent effort, discipline, action, you will see your dreams become reality. Remember, I'm always here to help you, always here to grow with you. Thank you for listening to The Girl with Self-Esteem Issues. If you want to hear more about my journey, be sure to check out my memoir, The Girl with Self-Esteem Issues, available both in English and Spanish through HarperCollins and HarperOne. You can find the link to purchase in the show description or wherever you're listening to this podcast. Hi, this is Rosie, and this is the look of the day. My top is provided by Target.com, nails by Lily, makeup by Drea, jewelry by Melinda Maria, jewelry and hair by Jennifer Arias. Thank you for listening to The Girl with Self-Esteem Issues, a Himalaya learning podcast. To access my Own Your Shit handbook filled with key insights and exercises, and to join a community where you can chat with me directly, go to Himalaya.com/Rosie and enter promo code Rosie at checkout for your first 14 days. Absolutely free. I hope to see you there.